Quite a few of you on the channel recently have been messaging me asking me to do a what's in the bag video. Well, in today's video, that is exactly what I'll be doing for you lot. So what I'm going to be talking you through is what clubs I play with in the bag, what lofts, what shafts, what heads, what grips, how they sit and feel, and I'll show you a couple of shots as well with me hitting them, just to give you a better understanding of how I play my sort of shots. So just a little bit of a background. I've been playing for well over 12 years now. I've had probably about 5 to 6 different sets of golf clubs, quite a few junior sets, then went into ladies sets before I went into adult full sets. So let's get started. The driver I've currently got is the Callaway Epic Max LS. There's a 9-degree head set to 8 degrees of loft, just helps me produce that lower penetrating ball flight, less spin on the ball as well. I've got it in the Fujikura Pro 2.0 8X Tour Spec shaft. So a standard extra stiff shaft is 6.5, whereas this is 8.0, so it is very stiff. Bear in mind I have also had this hard stepped. What that means is I ordered this shaft half an inch longer, so the Callaway themselves would cut it down to the size that I wanted it to make it even stiffer. So what happens is when you've got a long shaft, you cut it down, it stiffens up the shaft because it's shorter. So that 8X Tour Spec has a very high kick point, so it reduces the amount of flex with the bottom end of the driver, just to help with that penetrating low ball flight again, reducing the spin rate and making it a lot easier for me to hit harder at the ball and trust it as well. Because the driver I had beforehand was actually the old Callaway Epic Sub-Zero driver, and when I was hitting that with 8 degrees of loft, I found that it was just penetrating so high up I couldn't get any distance on the ball just because the spin rates were too high. So this shaft, this head really helped reduce those spin rates. The 3-wood I've had for quite some time now. I got this in 2016 on my 16th birthday. I've only just turned 21, so yeah, nearly 5 years I've kept this club. Bear in mind I did have that driver as well, but didn't really get along with it after a year, so got rid of that, obviously. So the M2, so it is the original TaylorMade M2 3-wood, 15 degrees of loft, in the Hazardous Black Project X shaft, 6.5, low spinning. Also has the Golf Pride multi-compound +4 mid-size grip. The driver has that as well. I would tend to use this club when I feel I would run out of fairway with the driver on some holes. So for example, dog legs to the right, I don't like to use driver as much just because my natural shot with the driver is a draw. When I try and fade the ball, it doesn't usually turn out right. So I would usually hit this club on dog legs round to the right, or even par 5s, narrow fairways. I would just make sure I get myself down there 280, 290 quite comfortably and be okay with hitting probably a long iron to the green. Going further down the clubs, this is one of my favourite clubs in the bag, and it is the TaylorMade P790 2UDI. So it's a 2-iron, it's the utility driving iron. It has the tungsten weight in it from TaylorMade, forged head in the Tour AD DI85 Extra Stiff Hybrid shaft, with also the MCC +4 mid-size grip again. I would tend to use this club quite a lot. I like to use it around Delamere quite simply just because it's very accurate. The ball flight is a lot lower for me, so when it gets quite windy, especially on the higher holes, it becomes more difficult for me to get driver and 3-wood out and trust that it's going to stay in the fairway. So this club really does help me in terms of keeping it nice and low and rolling out quite a lot as well to give myself the best possible chance of hitting onto the green to make some birdie putts. Starting with my highest iron, forgetting the 2-iron, my highest iron in the bag, the 4-iron. So I go straight from 2-iron to 4-iron, and I've got this in the MP18 SC Mizuno head. So it's a slight little bit of a cavity on there. I didn't really go full out blades when I got these clubs, just because I found that, well, at the end of the day, if you're stood over on the golf course with a 230, 240 yard shot, slightly downwind, and you're thinking, God, I've got a 4 iron the shape of a butter knife, it's going to be quite difficult for you to trust it and hit it well. So I decided to go for the SC head. I've had this for around, gosh, it must be 4 years, 3-4 years now. I got it when I was just halfway through college. This has got the Dynamic Gold True Temper X7 shaft in, so it's one of the stiffest Dynamic Gold shafts they produce on the market today. It also has the Golf Pride MCC +4 mid-size grip. Going down into all my irons from 5 to pitch and wedge, I play with the Mizuno MP18 blades. When I was fitted for these, I just loved the look and loved the feel of them. And then it was a matter of making sure the shaft was right, and then over time, just because I've got bigger, stronger, hitting the ball further and higher, I've gone for the same shaft as the 4 iron, the Dynamic Gold True Temper X7 shaft. So these shafts really help me produce that lower ball flight, more penetrating, with a bit more backspin as well to help me keep the control around the greens. When I'm wanting to hit the lower shots, I can trust it. When I want to hit them higher as well, I can trust them even more also. And they do have, indeed, the +4 mid-size MCC grips. The wedges I have in the bag are the Callaway McDaddy 4S grind wedges. So I decided to go for 3 of these in the end when I ordered them a couple of years ago again. I went for the 50 degree with a 10 degree bounce. I went for the 50 degree with a 10 bounce. I went for 54 in the 10 bounce and 58 in the 10 bounce. The reason why I stuck to 10 bounce throughout the set, just because I like to keep it quite consistent. I like to look over the ball with my wedges and think, yep, that looks very similar to the other wedge I was using. It has the exact same sole on the back, so I know exactly what I'm using, rather than usually you would get like a 58 with such a huge sole and then a 50 degree with such a thin sole as well. And I just didn't like the look or feel of them, so I kept it very consistent with the S grind with 10 bounce. The shafts I've got in these are the KBS Tour C-Taper Light 115 extra stiff shafts. So they were the shafts that I had in my irons before I got them reshafted a year ago. I've kept these lighter shafts in my wedges just because I like the feel of them. I like to be able to feel like there's a bit more weight in the head, whereas with my irons I can feel more weight in the shaft. So I reckon if I was to get them changed, I wouldn't be able to feel the weight in the head. And it's quite difficult to then control your chip shots, because if you can't feel where the head is going when you're hitting a chip shot, I think it just would be a lot more difficult to be able to make a consistent swing and let it flow. So I've also got these, I got these, what's the word? Embroidered? Engraved. I even got these engraved with H.Bomb on. So H.Bomb, because that was my nickname back when I used to play at Lim Golf Club, Highly Golf Club, college, all sorts. Just because I like hitting those bombs. But then I've got them on the wedge. Anyway. And these do have the, of course, MCC +4 mid-size grips. The putter I've got in the bag is the Scotty Cameron Select Newport 2, and I got this I think it was 2016, 2017, and over time I decided to get a new grip on it, just the thicker Super Stroke Slim 3.0, just because it felt like it was more stable in my hands when I was taking the club back and through. It was a lot harder for me to manipulate the head going back and through, so my putting became a lot more consistent. I was holding way more short putts, which really does help, especially when you're playing courses like Delamere, when you're off the green in 2 on a par 4 and you're trying to up and down. It becomes really difficult then for you, if your putting is off, to make those pars that you need. The putter I had before was an Odyssey 7. I loved the feel and look of that as well, with the 2 fangs at the back, and I was able to lift the ball up with it, and it was pretty good fun doing that. However, over time I just found that just having that long head at the back, it just didn't really look or feel right to me in the end. And when I tried this, I just loved the fact that you had to hit it out the centre of the face. If you hit this one left or right, toe or heel, then you just notice the ball, it doesn't come out properly, it doesn't get the forward spin that you need, sometimes a bit of dodgy backspin, side spin, and doesn't really go right. So I wouldn't recommend this to anyone that's struggling with ball striking with your putter. However, if you are a very consistent putter of the ball, I would highly recommend looking at something like this Scotty Cameron Select Newport 2, because they're great for feel, great for look, and yeah, I just love the fact that I can just stand over any putt now and just think, right, yep, just straight back and two, not have to worry about my stroke, and usually it comes out on top. So there you have it, all the clubs I am currently using at the moment in the bag. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead and like it and share it to anyone that would be interested in seeing what I currently play with in the bag. If you're looking into getting new clubs yourself, drop us a comment and let me know what you're looking into getting, and I'll give you my thoughts on them, no problem at all. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week.